our jargon term today is gross motor skills. And apparently we have never done this before, which I find shocking because we talk about this all the time. So let's take a look at what our actual definition is. Gross motor skills, it's the abilities required in order to control the large muscles of the body for intentionally coordinated movement. All right, as our definitions go, that's not a bad one, but let's break it down a little bit further. Gross motor skills are larger movements an individual makes with their arms, legs, feet, or their entire body. Crawling, running, and jumping are just some examples of gross motor skills. And of course, there are many, many more. But if you think about when you're moving when it takes a certain amount of coordination to move the larger muscles, then you know, that's what we're talking about, gross motor. Not gross as in icky, right? That's what I always thought as a kid. As we started the amazing Special Olympics this last weekend, all the different activities in the Special Olympics are gross motor activities. Now, you'll hear sometimes people talking, there's gross motor and then there's fine motor. And fine motor are things that require more fingers, and it's smaller movements that require a little bit more finesse. We'll also have an opportunity to talk about visual motor skills and oral motor skills at some point. But gross motor skills, and we've seen all weekend long, and we're continuing to see this week. It fills me with so much pride watching the Special Olympics, and we've got some big exciting things to talk about here in just a second having to do with that, because we got to go and be there on Sunday. But we're hearing from everybody that whenever there is an individual who has special needs of any kind, right, that having the ability to move and move their body in whatever way is appropriate for them is something that is good. It's good for mental health. It's good for us physically in terms of our bodies working, and it's also good for self-esteem, I think, which goes hand in hand with mental health. So we're talking about gross motor skills. These are things that a lot of times on the autism spectrum, we can see people putting that on a back burner. And I think it's really important that we all acknowledge that it should never be fully backburnered, right? I remember when my son, and this is something that I wished I'd done a little bit better, when he was 3 and went through his first battery of testing for his IEP, he was behind in every single skill except for gross motor. He had great balance and he could stand on one foot, and they rate them by age, right? So his language skills was at like 6 months, but his gross motor and balance skills, he was at 4 years old and he was only a 3-year-old. And I remember clinging to that and going, okay, that's a strength. Now in my mind, I think I said, well, we don't need to focus on that right now. Let's focus on all the other things. And of course, I talk to you all the time on the show about when we find something that is a plus, let's capitalize on that. And I truly wish that I had spent more time having him engage. We did do some things. We didn't completely cut it out, but we were doing a lot of therapy, and I wish I'd spent a little bit more time in the pool, because now he's a little bit behind in terms of motor skills. So strengths can become weaknesses if we don't really hit them hard. And later on, a lot of our kids want to play video games. So hit those gross motor skills and make it addictive and fun for them while you can.